So, some bad news really to bring you here on the motoringchronicle.com. And if you've been listening to the news for the last 12 hours, the last 24 hours or so, you will have seen that the owner of Vauxhall, one of the largest car companies in the UK, they are going to close their factory in Luton, which manufactures vans for the UK and maybe other markets as well. I just wanted to go over this announcement and what it kind of means and why they're doing this. Because I have heard a few different theories, a few different statements about why the owner of Vauxhall are doing this. And I just wanted to go over this with you guys because I've been speaking a lot about EVs and I feel like regulations, government regulations, and also electric vehicles are kind of playing into this. But I'll explain more once I've read through this article. So shout out to Theo Leggett and Michael Race over on the BBC for covering this with this article. The owner of Vauxhall has announced plans to close its van making factory in Luton, putting around 1,100 jobs at risk. Stellantis, which also owns brands including Citroën, Peugeot and Fiat, said it would combine its electric van production at its other UK plants in Ellesmere Port in Cheshire. Rules imposed to speed up the transition to electric vehicles (EV) in the UK partly drove this decision, the firm said. Union Unite said the move was a complete slap in the face for its members working in Luton. There are growing concerns among car manufacturers over EV sales targets, with many, including Stellantis, calling for the government to do more to boost consumer demand. Following the Luton plant announcement and intense pressure from industry leaders, Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds said the government would consult on changes to EV sales rules, which officially are called the Zero Emissions Mandate, because it is not working as intended. Now, I've spoken, just to interject here, I have spoken about ZEV, as it's known, the Zero Emissions Vehicle Mandate, in another video a little bit ago where Nissan were calling for the UK government to make changes to their targets because the increase in demand and the increased sales in electric vehicles has not been as high as forecasted when this was originally drafted. So that is something that the government seems now to be taking seriously, because when I made that video, they hadn't really responded to it, but they have now with this news about the Luton plant being closed. I get the seriousness and the urgency of the situation, he said, adding that the decision to close Vauxhall's van factory was a difficult day for Luton. Late on Tuesday, the car industry called for urgent government intervention to safeguard the sector and Britain's zero-emission vehicles transition. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders (SMMT) said weak demand for EVs and the requirement to fulfil sales quotas would cost car makers around £6 billion in 2024 alone, with the potential for devastating impacts on business viability and jobs. It said the strong EV demand anticipated when the zero emissions mandate was designed more than 2 years ago had failed to materialise, with interest rates, raw material prices and energy costs remaining high. However, Reynolds reaffirmed that the government remained committed to meeting Labour's manifesto target of ending sales of new petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030. Oh man, that's 6 years. That's almost 5 years away now. We're almost in 2025. Got 5 years to do that. I'm sorry, but I just cannot see that happening. Famous last words, but I really personally cannot see how that's going to happen. As part of the shift to electric, manufacturers are currently required to sell a certain percentage of cars and vans that do not emit any emissions ahead of the 2030 ban, with quotas increasing each year. Current rules state that EVs must take up 22% of a car maker's sales and 10% of van sales in 2024. For every sales that pushes it outside the mandate, firms must pay £15,000 in a fine. For every sale. That's a lot. That's massive. There are flexibilities in the system, allowing manufacturers who cannot meet the targets to buy credits from those that can. And that is also a problem. That is something that I mentioned in the Nissan video as well. They would have to buy these credits effectively from foreign manufacturers of cars, of EVs, such as Tesla. Like I said in my previous video, I did make a mistake in my previous video that I did get pointed out as well. You know, Tesla don't just manufacture in the United States. They've also got a gigafactory over in Germany. But my point with that was that they don't have any factories in the UK. So that is an example of a car maker that would potentially profit from that. And, you know, British businesses, British car makers, or car makers that are based in Britain, in this case, something like Nissan, that are Japanese, but of course are actually making cars in the UK, they would suffer. which would mean that everybody in the country suffers. It's not really high grade economics. But car brands with factories in the UK have been urging the government to relax the rules, arguing that EV demand is not strong enough and more incentives are required for drivers to go fully electric. And again, this is also another thing as well. So I keep interjecting this because there's so many facets to it, but we need to address the fact that, yeah, the demand for cars, electric vehicles, is not as high. Now, why is that? Well, I believe the biggest reason for that is because there isn't enough incentives for it. Supply and demand is the fundamentals of sales, right? You can't sell if there's not demand. If there's demand, you should sell. That's kind of how this business works, how all businesses work to an extent. And to incentivize customers to do that, there has to be something in terms of either the government to intervene. I mean, things like putting road tax onto electric cars starting next year. That is not going to incentivize people to buy EVs. There are more important things as well. And the biggest thing for me probably is the infrastructure. Because the biggest worry that anybody would have with an electric vehicle is range anxiety. You know, not knowing if you're going to be able to make it to your intended destination, or if you are going to make it, how are you going to get back? Is there going to be a charging station on the way? Will you have to wait there for a long time? So having better infrastructure is a massive part of that. And in fairness, this government is a new one. It's only been in place since the summer. So there's not been a lot of time to actually invest in that. But previously, with the previous government, in my opinion, we have not done anywhere near enough in terms of investing in the electric vehicle infrastructure, allowing for chargers everywhere. You know, that should be a thing. There have been small steps, but these steps have not been large enough to warrant the demand that they were predicting. And their estimates have been proven to be false. And therefore, all the estimates going forward will probably also be false, so they need to revise it. Stellantis' Vauxhall plant in Luton currently builds petrol and diesel vans and has been due to start making medium-sized Vauxhall electric vans from 2025 before the decision to close it. Electric models from other Stellantis brands, including Citroën, Peugeot and Fiat, were also set to be built there. Vauxhall's Luton director said at the same time that it would be a fitting way to mark the factory's 120th anniversary. That's sad that. They're not even going to make it, are they? Now the electric model that has been scheduled for manufacturing at Luton will move to Ellesmere Port, which is set to get a £50 million cash injection. 3 years ago, Stellantis invested £100 million into revamping the Ellesmere Port site to make electric vehicles. It currently builds a range of small electric vans. Production of Stellantis' conventional vans will be transferred to France. So again, the UK is losing out there because of this. That's not good. The company said the closure of Luton in spring next year would be potentially contributing to a greater production efficiency. The decision to consolidate its production is the subject to consultation. It has said that hundreds of permanent jobs will be created at Ellesmere Port and that it would provide relocation assistance to workers who want to transfer from Luton. Now, again, just before we go into a bit more of that for those that don't know, Luton is just outside of London. It's just north of London, and Ellesmere Port is in Cheshire. It's not too far away from Liverpool. It's got to be, what, guys, 4-5 hour drive? It's a long way, 150, 200 miles probably in terms of distance, which I know maybe for people in Australia and Canada and the US might be like, oh, that's just a walk down the park, you know. But in the UK, that's like, well, in England, that's like halfway, 2/3 of the country. It's a long, long distance. And yeah, some people will move there, you know, single workers, single men, single women. They'll probably move up there. But what about people with families, relocating their entire family? You know, what if it's, you know, what if you've got a couple and one of them works at this Luton plant and the other one has a job locally that can't be done at home, can't be done remotely? Do they move? A lot of them won't be able to. It's not quite that simple. And then you've got to relocate with, you know, if you've got kids, you've got to sort out the school. It's a really, really horrible situation to be in. And I really feel for the workers at this plant. I've been at well, it's a bit different, but I've been at a company that was in big financial trouble and things were scaling down. And it's a terrifying situation to be in. I mean, this is different. This isn't a financial issue per se. I mean, it would be a money losing exercise if they were to keep it going because of the regulations that are there. So things need to change. This is the tip of the iceberg, guys. And that's probably going to be the title of the video. This is really the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what could happen going forwards. It's really sad. However, Unite said that whatever the positive benefits in store for the Ellesmere Port site, the decision was not acceptable. We stand ready to support our members in doing whatever we can to ensure that the historical vehicle manufacturing is maintained in Luton, the union said. Luton's Vauxhall factory opened in 1905, with the first vans being assembled there in 1932. At its height, the plant employed 37,000 people, but that number has been falling since the 1960s. The final car rolled off the production line in 2002, though van manufacturing, with the production of the Vivaro model, continued. Earlier this year, Stellantis chief executive Carlos Tavares warned that the future of both the Luton and the Ellesmere port sites were in doubt, citing the impacts of the EV sales mandate. Yeah, here we go. And I mentioned to Nissan as well. Might as well get this last bit of the article as well. Nissan, which builds EVs at its plants in Sunderland, has said that the EV sales rule are undermining the business case for manufacturing cars in the UK and the viability of thousands of jobs and billions of pounds in investment. Last week, its rivals Ford announced that it would cut 800 jobs in the United Kingdom over the next 3 years. It said that this was partly due to the weaker demand for EVs. SMMT has previously said support packages and incentives are needed to make the electric vehicle switch more attractive and affordable. Sales of electric cars have been increasing. In October, they made up 1 out of every 5 cars registered. However, the industry sources insist this is largely down to unsustainable discounting. Mike Hawes, who's the chief executive of the MT, said that the industry did not want to water down any commitments, but said workable regulations backed with incentives will set us up for success. The SMMT said Stellantis' announcement was a major concern to UK automotive manufacturing, but more importantly to the livelihoods of many. The government said it was backing the car industry with more than £300 million to drive up the zero emissions vehicles. Right, so there is a lot to unpack there, and I did unpack bits of it through the article as well. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, what they need to do, what the government has to do, because at the end of the day, right, and this isn't me, I mean, I've seen a lot of comments on my videos on this and one, you know, for me, this is not something that was caused by this current government, but it can be saved by the current government. When these outlines were made, these were a forecast. Anybody who has worked in any industry that does any kind of forecasting, whether it's sales, whether it's any kind of predictions or anything like that, right? You will know that predictions are difficult. They are very difficult to do in general. Just in life in general, you can't predict things, you know? Who thought that in 2020, someone would allegedly, you know, have a bit of bat soup and would cause a global pandemic? I didn't see that coming. Even when I heard about it, I was like, no big deal. It'd be like swine flu or whatever. You can't predict these things. Although, admittedly, in that regard, I am a bit ill-informed. But when it comes to stuff like this, you know, it really is difficult to predict. You know, electric vehicles are something pretty novel. I mean, they are becoming more common, of course, but they are relatively novel in the automotive industry. They haven't taken over to the level of petrol and diesel cars. They're not on that level yet. So when these forecasts were being made, basically, you know, they're inaccurate. They need to be revised. When you make a forecast, when you make a prediction and it turns out that it's wrong, you just got to hold your hands up and just say, well, yeah, we got that wrong. Let's go off the current data that we have right now, look at all the factors, including the fact that maybe these discounts are unsustainable, that they're doing them just to try and get more people to try and get electric vehicles. Have a look at the impact of the infrastructure not being quite as good as what it should be, in my opinion, and factor all that into your calculations. And then just set out some new targets that are actually achievable for these guys, because then what you might have happen, and I don't think this would happen, but in theory this could happen, where you've got a large surplus of electric vehicles coming off of these production lines and just remaining unsold, just sat there in a factory, in a warehouse or something. It's like, oh, we've made 1 million EVs this year or whatever, but only half of those are actually on the road. The rest are in the showroom, you know. So then that's a problem in itself. Then you're just pouring money away. It's a money pit. It's a dive. It's never going to work. So what the government should do, I think the sensible option, is just to revise their predictions. Revise the predictions of the previous government. These aren't even their predictions. They're just rolling with them. And if they don't do this, then the UK car industry is, I don't want to say it's doomed, because it's not doomed, but it's going to shrink massively. That's a huge economic boost. That is a huge factor to how our economy performs. And more importantly than that, like the article says, these are people's lives. This is livelihoods. This is their work. This is how they survive. People are struggling in the UK right now, big time. I know it's the same in a lot of other countries, but it's really tough here at the moment for a lot of people. It's bloody difficult to just survive. It really is. And then you're throwing things like this, and it's just making things needlessly difficult, in my opinion. It really is. So, yeah, best of luck to the workers at the Luton plant. Best of luck to the union members. I hope you guys are able to take some action and try and drive change. But I don't personally, I mean, I might be wrong here, but I don't personally think that Vauxhall are really to blame that much. As Stellantis, their owners, they're doing what they have to do to survive. Yeah, you might say it's greed. You might do, and I get that viewpoint. Of course I do. But it comes from the top. The buck has to stop at the government. And the government has to do something about it because, like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. Nissan are saying they're going to struggle. Ford have downsized. Vauxhall are downsizing. Who's going to be next? Honda? Toyota? Could be any of them. But yeah, not very uplifting video, guys. A very long one, but I got a lot of thoughts on it in the day because, you know, cars are my thing. I trained to be an engineer, you know, and seeing British industry like this dying. People say the industry in the UK is dead. It's not. Right now, though, it's sick. It's ill. It's dying. And it's going to die if the government doesn't do something about it. Simple as that. Maybe it won't completely die, but it'll be unrecognisable from what it is nowadays. And this has happened before. This happened in the 70s for many, many reasons. And the UK car industry struggled for a long, long time. Still is struggling, and it's going to keep struggling even more unless something's done. But guys, what do you think? Very long video, I know. I do apologise for that. But like I said, a lot of thoughts on it. Get yours in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear. I mean, hell, if you work down at the Luton plant, let me know. I want to hear from you, you know? Just send me a message or something. I'm sure there's some way you can contact me if you don't want it to be public. I don't blame you. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, guys, and hopefully some more uplifting news on the way on the motoringchronicle.com. Have a good one, and yeah, all the best to everybody in Luton. I hope you guys find new work or transfer up to Ellesmere, or this decision gets reversed, because it's a very sad one.